Today I was looking through the patch notes and I was trying to get basically all of the TGD damage multipliers and things like that updated to the most recent patch notes, and the Welgun was changed. But I also like to verify things in game just to make sure that stuff's the same. So I ended up going into the game, testing the Welgun with the 40 round mag because they nerfed the 40 round mag according to the patch notes, and I was just getting really weird numbers that didn't make any sense. And I was checking in live games, so I was actually queuing into matches and shooting people right at the beginning of the match before it started to get the damage values, and the numbers just didn't make sense compared to anything else that was out there, the patch notes or any other sources. So before we talk about that, I want to explain to you guys how damage values are calculated in COD, just so you can understand a little bit more of this. So we're going to use the Welgun with the 7.62 ammo as an example. This is the very first damage drop off of the Welgun with the 7.62 ammo. These are the damage values. So how it works is there's a base damage for each damage range. That damage is usually the upper extremities damage. It doesn't technically have to be. It can literally be anything. Like, it doesn't even have to be one of the damage numbers that the gun does, because every shot location has a multiplier anyway. So they can pick whatever number they want. But I think, as a standardization, I think it's pretty much always upper extremities. Upper leg, I guess, not upper extremities, because those can even be different. So for this example, upper leg is 29 damage. So the base damage for the Welgun and the first damage drop off with this magazine is 29 damage. So then the actual damage at the shot location is calculated by saying the base damage at that range, so 29 damage, times the damage multiplier, and then whatever multiplies out from that is rounded down to the next integer down. So if you just do the math here and you say, 29, or you say 46 divided by this base damage of 29, and then you do that for all of these are the multipliers you get. But because it's rounded down, the actual head multiplier could be a range of values, and it's impossible from the outside to know exactly what the head multiplier is, because it's always going to be that range of values because of the rounding. So what you can do is you can take multipliers and you can multiply them out and see what the output damage is using that same math. So 1.57, 1.58, all the way up to 1.64 is what I put on this example. And you can see that 1.59 all the way up to 1.62 results in the exact same output damage as what you'd measure in game. And this is why stacking damage attachments, unless you have actual numbers from the game, like from the code, it's impossible to get the damages always correct. You can make assumptions about things, like, for example, this headshot I would say is probably 1.6, because we're humans and they probably just programmed it as 1.6, not 1.61 or 1.59. But there are some that are weird like that, so you can't always, that's not always correct. But it's basically the best you can do is to pick the middle value from this based on the damage values and go from there. And if there's like a whole number, like a 1.6 or a 1.55 or something like that, usually those are going to be correct. So that's kind of the logic I use on TGD to back calculate these multipliers from the damage values. But because of that, like I said, it's impossible to get these things perfectly correct, especially when you have 5 different attachments that stack with these multipliers. So if you're off by 0.01 in one of these, as that multiplier stacks up, it's going to end up showing the damage value being different. The reason I wanted to cover that is because in the patch notes, they usually give this min, max, mid damage, or they give those exact multipliers. So a lot of the time, thankfully, when they're changing stuff now, they are giving us those numbers and those multipliers. But for the Welgun, they didn't change the multipliers. They changed the maximum damage, min damage, and mid damage. So this is saying that there's 3 damage drop-offs. Maximum damage is that base damage, 29 to extremities that we saw right here, 29 to upper leg. And then in the mid damage range, it's supposed to be going from 26 damage to 25 damage. So range 2, the base damage is going to be 25. And then range 3, in the min damage range, the furthest range is going to be changing from 21 to 22. Well, it turns out that because we have these approximate multipliers, I can basically calculate out the full damage profile just using those damage values and some logic. Like I said, like, I'll assume that the headshot multiplier is 1.6 because it's a human that typed it in. They probably didn't pick 1.61. And again, that's not always correct, but most of the time it is. So taking that and looking at what I measured in game, using what they said it should be in the patch notes, and then comparing to the data mine data to see how accurate this is and what's going on, there are big discrepancies out there, and I don't exactly understand it. What I think it is, I think there's different layers to how things can be calculated in game. And I think the data mine data might be just from the base layer. And I think there might be like scripts on top that can modify those damage values. I don't know for sure, but that's the only thing that really makes sense to me. So in the first damage range, everything's good. Live numbers in game match the patch notes and match the data mine numbers. And then in the second range is where things start to change. So second range live in game is barely any different. It's only one headshot damage less, one neck shot damage less, one chest shot damage less, and one everywhere else less. So I guess it's just one less everywhere than the first damage drop off. But the patch notes say that it should be much lower, 40, 32, 28, 25, all the way across the board. Data mine numbers, again, are almost exactly the same as patch notes numbers, and they are actually correct. So the data mine number here probably is correct, but this is because of that rounding error that I talked about. If the damage value changes, then the rounding down can cause this issue where if you don't know the exact multipliers, you can't ever create a perfect damage profile with damage modifying attachments, which is actually really annoying, but it is what it is. I can get very, very close to doing all the clever methods I've come up with. And then in the third range, it's even more dramatic. So patch notes are almost like 10 damage less across the board than what's actually live in game. And then the data mine numbers are also different than the patch notes and different than what's live in game, matching exactly the same as what happened in the mid damage range. So I don't know what's going on here. I just know there's some weird, funky things going on. And because of this, I'm probably going to start setting up like a huge community test where we just do the easy shot locations. It can be pretty tricky to get like upper arm and lower arm and like neck damage and things. I'll probably just skip those, and I'll set up a community test where we have literally a full lobby of 150 people all testing a weapon and a damage modifying attachment, so we can get, you know, the easy damage spots, so head, chest, stomach, and then like upper leg or something like that. And we can double check that none of these weird script things are happening that are completely changing even what the data mine numbers show. But really, I just wanted to talk about this. Let's go actually look at this Welgun with this attachment and see how it compares to just like a base Welgun and maybe some other SMGs, and see if it's really in a great spot right now with this weird bugginess, or if it's just a bug and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. I've added a bunch of very popular SMGs to the comparison right now. So we've got the base Welgun in orange. The magenta color is the Welgun with this question mark bugged, maybe working correctly 7.62 mag. That's the magenta color. And then the Owen guns in cyan. Lapa barrel, or the Lapa is green. The Arma, the new SMG, is this, I don't know what color to call this, a lighter blue, I guess. That is on the site, by the way. Mostly all the attachments are there. All the damage modifying attachments are up, and most of the other attachments are as well. Type 100 with the rapid barrel is the lighter pink color. AS44 is brown, and then the MP40 with that short barrel is whatever color this is. I don't even know what to call that either, but that's a really popular gun right now. So comparing all of these, you'll see right off the bat that out at range, as you'd expect based on going through those damage profiles we just went through, the 7.62 is going to have really good TTKs out at range because it basically has no drop off. I mean, it has a very tiny amount of damage drop off compared to, you know, all the other guns. I think it's probably a bug. I don't think it's supposed to be this way, but you can see it still doesn't even beat the Lapa. So in the first range, the Lapa wins by quite a bit. It wins by almost 100 milliseconds TTK, and that's out to 9 meters. And then after that, they match all the way out. So I think this Welgun is really not going to be something great for anything other than maybe like sniper support. It has pretty much the same CTK all the way out. It's going to be really easy to control. You can get gung-ho on it, so it's going to have you know, instant sprint to fire time, which is great for a sniper support or an SMG. So overall, it's very good as a sniper support, but the mag's small and it's not going to be very good up close. It'll be good because you have gung-ho, but besides that, not great up close in terms of numbers. This is 300 health combination shots, so this is, you know, regular BR. And now we have all those Modern Warfare and Cold War guns in the game, so it's really going to be hard to use a lot of these, I think, Vanguard guns, especially longer range guns, because they just kind of fall behind. But the AS44 is on here as well. You can see this brown line. It's always hard to compare to that because it looks great on paper, but in usage, it's like ADS time, mobility, sprint to fire time. I guess it has gung-ho, but there's just all the issues that come with using an AR as an SMG make the AS44 really difficult to use as either an SMG or a sniper support. I just think a lot of the actual SMGs are better for sniper support than the AS44. As an actual SMG in the SMG range, you know, inside 15, 20 meters, it's going to be really hard to beat like the Owen gun and the Type 100, especially after the Type 100 got buffed. I'll be covering that, seeing how much of a change that was. But these TTKs are just so good. 580 milliseconds for both of them in the first damage range. I mean, that's like 200 milliseconds faster than the base Welgun and the 7.62 Welgun. So as an actual SMG, I don't really think it's going to compete with those kind of weapons. But as a sniper support, it could actually be in a really good spot with the these weird damage values. If you guys appreciate these deep dives into stats and all the work that I'm doing, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Usually about 40 to 50% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. It's really simple for you. It's free for you. And if you want to help out even more, you can drop a like on the video and a comment. That'll help out with the algorithm. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to cover. I hope you guys found it interesting, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.